I'm Mahoney, and I'm here to talk about my dual internship experience that I had at Mahoney. And I would like to just start off with a few of the attributes of what the firm was like. So for size, it's a small and mid-sized firm with about 10 partners and 85 employees, with their main office being in Lincolnshire, Illinois, which is in the northern Chicago suburbs. The firm does offer a wide range of services, from assurance to tax to accounting services, and during my time during the dual internship, I was in the audit, assurance, and tax departments. And the firm's a member of the Geneva Group International, which is an international group of accounting firms and other law and other types of firms, and they help each other out, and it's just a way for the firm to generate more business. The firm does have a very strong one firm philosophy, so everyone is helping each other out though, and I found that to be very evident during this time. And also, it is a fast growing firm with about 13% compound growth in terms of revenue over the past 15 years. And just a basic overview of the internship though, it ended up lasting 14 weeks because it got extended all the way to April 15th. And so my first 2 weeks were spent in training. 1 week was on the audit side, the other week was on the tax side. And after training, I was put into the audit side, in which I got a wide range of experiences. And then after that, I had 8 weeks over on the tax side, in which I've completed different types of forms. So starting with the audit experience. So I had a wide range of experiences, as I just said, though, with 3 audits, 1 review, and I also performed a compilation during that time. And overall, my first experience in the insurance department was the review, which was a landscaping business with multiple subsidiaries. So one of the more complex clients that the firm has. And my main task though was reviewing cash. So I had to be able to learn how to document and how to type from the bank statement to the bank reconciliation to the trial balance, and that's how we ended up auditing or reviewing cash in this time. And I did perform a little bit with some tax liabilities, and that was mostly just updating some property tax liabilities for the current year. So my first audit experience, so right after the review, it was a manufacturing firm that was purchased by a private equity firm. So the manufacturer wasn't the exact client that we were serving. It was the private equity firm. And so it was a first year audit as well, which meant that I didn't have any previous year's work papers to go off of. So a lot of times I had to create my own work papers, and led to interesting experience for myself. And specifically, I was tasked with the areas of cash, accounts receivable, and accounts payable. So I managed to do all the tests necessary for those areas. So I got a lot of experience on there. And on top of that, though, I did get some experience in completing the disclosure checklist. So going through all the possible disclosures and seeing whether or not it applies to the client. And on top of that, though, it was just good experience because I was actually had to inquire with the client a little bit further with the manufacturer, especially when doing the accounts receivable and accounts payable tests, to get more information from them than I was required. And also, this was just a much better experience compared to review, because review I was only with cash. I didn't really do anything else, but this time I got much more of a breadth of experience with cash, AR, and AP. And so right after that first audit, I was tasked with my second audit, which was a tech company in Vermont. We didn't go out there, so we ended up performing this audit remotely in the office. And this time I was tasked with new areas, but I still ended up doing cash, accounts receivable, and accounts payable. But I did some other areas, which included prepaids and inventory. So I did a few tests in that area just to get me a little taste of what it's like working or auditing those areas. And I also performed, for the third audit that I ended up doing, I performed a lot of the similar tests as I did in the first and second audit. Now over on the tax side, I ended up having 8 weeks over on the tax side, in which case though I ended up doing or prepping a lot of 1040 returns. I did a few 1041 returns, which are for trusts. I did a 1065 return for an LLC. It was a very simple return for me since it wasn't really have any business operations. They had a rental property that they generate income from. But it was still a good experience for me to get familiar with the Form 1065. But on the other hand, the Form 1120S for S corporations, the one that I ended up having to fill out, that was much more complicated. They had real business operations, and it was a great learning experience for myself. And on top of that, though, I had other tasks, which included entering prior year returns for new clients. So whenever we got a new client, we'd like to plug in last year's return into the tax preparation software we use, because and actually then rolled forward to the current year, because it made the the preparer much more efficient when preparing the return. And on top of that, I had other forms I filled out. I forgot the exact name of this form though, but it was a form where the client actually had a change in the ownership structure and the business structure. So they were required to fill out some forms on, I was tasked with filling out some of them. Within the tax, 8 weeks in tax though, I had a lot of different experiences, specifically with 1040s individuals. And those included, I had a few with the selling of where the taxpayer sold a house, which pretty much meant not only that I had to figure out the proceeds, but also figure out the cost basis for that though, and to figure out how much capital gains that they had with the transaction. I also had a lot of clients with rental and business income. Rental would have been Schedule E, business would have been Schedule C, so I got familiar with those schedules. I had one taxpayer that had a Schedule H that we had to fill out though, because they had a household employee. I had a client that had a foreign bank account, so I had to enter in the value of that bank account onto the return. Exercising stock options, I had a few of those cases where the taxpayer got stock options from the employer, and sometimes they vested it or exercised those stock options, I should say, and sometimes they sold it, which needs to be recorded. I also had a client that had a resident or could applied for the residential energy credit. So that was a new experience for me. It was another type of form that we had to fill out, or I had to fill out. And I also managed to do a lot of different residents of different states. So not just Illinois, but I managed to do Wisconsin, Indiana, Maryland, California, Florida, Iowa, and Arizona. So I managed to get a lot of different experiences at different state forums. For my expectations for this internship, they blew me away. For the audit side, I only expected to do cash, AR, and AP, but I managed to do other areas such as prepaids, inventory, debt, and I also managed to get some experience in disclosure checklists. So I managed to learn a lot there in those 4 weeks. I also had a greater sense of responsibility, especially on the tax side, where I was tasked with contacting clients though, and also contacting customer support for the tax software that we use. And for one particular case though, there was a rejected return that actually got rejected twice by the state though, and eventually the reviewer had me tasked to fill it out though, so I managed to figure it out though. And also many of the people were very helpful. I expected to get a lot of help. I didn't expect to get this much help as I did though. And a lot of times people were there helping me out for 20 minutes or longer, just making sure I was completely good and completely fine with what I was doing. How did NIU prepare me? First off, the courses with the basic understanding of tax and audit, those definitely helped me out though, learning how to prep a return and how to do the audit work papers. Software, Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, those experiences helped me out too. And one of the most important areas that NIU helped me out that I would say the most is with soft skills. With the leadership experience that I had with one of the accounting organizations, they definitely enhanced my verbal and written communication skills, which helped me a lot during the internship. And the audit practice sets, I took the financial statement audit course in the master's program, and those definitely helped me out when I was on the audit side of the internship. And there was a couple areas I wasn't prepared for. Adobe PDF, that was a software I used. Sometimes, especially on the tax side, when creating some of the source documents for clients though, and having to keep them in PDF file, that would have been helpful if I would already known some of the tools and functions that Adobe PDF has. And have a basic concept of trust. I came in with really no understanding about the different types of trust though, and I was put in situations where that information could have been helpful. And luckily I didn't do too many trusts though, but in the case where I had to do many more trusts, though this information would have definitely benefited me. Personal preparation, just coming in with an open mindset. Personally, I didn't have too many expectations of what the internship was gonna be like, though. I just took it as it is, and being open to learn new things during this internship, though, because a lot of stuff I wasn't able to learn in the classroom. Not being afraid to ask questions. I was always asking questions in classrooms, and so during the internship, though, I didn't have my wheels spun too much, though. When I did ask questions, though, I managed to learn something new and managed to solve a lot of the problems I had. And also being intellectually curious, so I actually wanted to learn the concepts that we have to know to prep a return or complete an audit work paper. And I managed to practice all these behaviors through the classroom, in the classroom at NIU. Favorite aspects, just being able to learn from the audit and tax knowledge I was able to bring in. And I was actually not just learning from senior associates, which I was told would be the case, but I was actually learning a lot from managers. So I was able to learn from people with much more experience in the industry, so that was definitely very beneficial. And just getting valuable experience and what it's like working at a public accounting firm, such as being able to work with the client and talking and contacting them for additional information. That's stuff that I wasn't able to get in the classroom. And in addition, problem solving, I mean, had to solve some real issues that public accountants have to deal with sometimes on a daily basis, and sometimes it's once in a while, though, and it's experience that could get from an internship. The ideal employee that the firm's looking for is being a leader, and I heard this directly from the managing partner. So it means like a leader is proactive, they make decisions, and when they make those decisions, they take responsibility for them. They own any consequences from the decisions that they make. Also being willing to help, not just the clients, but the coworkers as well. As I said earlier, they follow one firm philosophy, so everyone's helping each other out whenever they can, even if it's not they're working on the same engagement as themselves. Understand and perform tasks, so being competent and being able to perform the actual work. I know, and also if you're don't know how or understand how to perform a certain task, though, being able to learn how to do it, though, because I know the firm has had some issues in the past with that, and being willing to understand why. So not just knowing how to do the work, but what are some of the accounting rules and tax rules behind the stuff that we do. So having that intellectual curiosity to gain more knowledge in the industry. All right, that was it.